What's up, guys? LQ here. Let's talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I watched it last night, and it was surprisingly a good Indiana Jones movie. I'm going to expound upon that a little bit, but first, I wanted to say that, um, Indiana Jones is special to me. I went and saw The Last Crusade in theaters when I was 9 years old. And The Last Crusade was one of those formative movies for me. Like, it's one of the reasons why I am a movie fan, because of that trip to see Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. I love Indiana Jones, and he's a character that just I grew up with. I grew up watching his adventures. So I was thrilled to get another adventure, one final adventure with Indiana Jones on the big screen. And it was just a joyous occasion to be able to be there and see that one more time. And I was happy to say that I was happy to see that it was a good Indiana Jones movie. Let's talk about the good, and we'll talk about the bad. So the good, obviously, is just this felt like an Indiana Jones adventure. Where Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, it felt kind of out of place. Everything felt kind of just not Indiana Jones. I think that a lot of that had to do with the MacGuffin in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. A lot of that had to do with the CGI and some of the strange set pieces and whatnot. But this felt like an Indiana Jones adventure. It felt like we were like a classic indie. It felt like indie. The music was great. John Williams is a master. Um, the villain, Mads Mikkelsen, I rank him up there with some of the top Indiana Jones villains. I thought Mads Mikkelsen was sinister, menacing in a quiet way. You kind of understood his motivation. It was great that the Nazis were back as bad guys. Nazis make great bad guys because they are just so evil, but you also, I mean, it's a black and white type of evil. Like they are evil. There's no gray area there. But you also understand why they're evil, right? They are just terrible bad people. But you know why they're that way. So Nazis make great bad guys, and it's great watching Indiana Jones beat up and kill Nazis. Um, Seeing Harrison Ford back at this age, I had some trepidation about, well, how's this going to look like an 80-year-old man doing all this stuff? I was happy to see that they incorporated his age into the storyline. He wasn't beating up people half his age. In fact, there was several scenes where you could tell that he was just physically outmatched um, by his opponent. And there was even scenes like there's a scene where he was climbing up a cliff, and he was talking about how his shoulders hurts and his spine hurts, and they they did a good job of incorporating his age into the story. Um, so overall, like I said, the MacGuffin was fine. It felt like a real thing. Um, yeah, it felt like an Indiana Jones adventure, and I was very happy to get that in this movie. There was some mixed aspects for me. Um, you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark ended with the Angel of Death killing Nazis. The Temple of Doom had a man getting his heart ripped out and he was still alive. The Last Crusade had a knight that was 1,000 years old, um, and obviously a magical powered Grail cup. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull had aliens from another dimension. There are supernatural things and strange things that occur in Indiana Jones movies. This one was no different. The third act, there was some strange things. There was some supernatural things, if you want to call them that. There was some things that happened that was strange, maybe a little wacky. Um, and I'm still chewing on whether or not I liked that last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie. Uh, I think I did, but I need to watch it a few more times. I'm very mixed on it. The supernatural. It wasn't really supernatural. It was explained as being mathematics, what, etc., science. But the supernatural part of this movie at the end, where things start to go a little wacky, I'm just not sure about it yet. And the other thing I'm really mixed on is I'm over this whole trope of Hollywood wanting to take our aging heroes from previous decades and turning them into beat down, miserable, sad. old men. Um, I'm kind of over it. You know, they did it to Luke Skywalker. They did it to Han Solo. There's several other cases where they've done this, right? Where they've taken that hero from the past and just turned him into a beat down, sad, depressed person. They did it to Indy here, and I wasn't crazy about where they found his relationship with his son and his wife. I'm not going to go into any spoilers there, but it wasn't a great place. And while there is an arc on his relationship and him reconciling where he is with his wife and his son, um, I didn't love the arc, even though some of the by the end some of it had been reconciled in a somewhat satisfying way. I still didn't love the arc. You know, I didn't love the character arc that they gave him as far as his wife and his son was concerned. I think there's a lot of other things they could have done that was more interesting. That would have I didn't love Kingdom of the Crystal Skull by any stretch of the imagination, but I felt that where he found himself with his wife and his son also kind of disrespected Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it's still an Indiana Jones movie. It's still canon, and I don't know. I just like I said, I'm over this Hollywood trope. You know, let's take people we love from previous decades and just destroy them. Let's take everything away from them. Yeah, I'm over that. So, um, some of it did lead to some interesting ideas, though, about growing old, about accepting, the idea, accepting your mortality, accepting growing old, um, and doing that gracefully, and learning to come to terms with your relationships with other people. Some of that did bring some interesting ideas. I don't know how well they fit into an Indiana Jones movie, but they were interesting ideas nonetheless. Things that James Mangold has always done very well. You look at Logan and some of his other films; he definitely has dealt with this aging hero thing um, in the past. So while I didn't care for it, it also brought some interesting plot points. So for me, it's still a mixed. I'm mixed on that aspect of it. Some of the really bad things. All right. Phoebe Waller-Bridges' character was terrible, and she's not terrible for the reason that a lot of nerds on the internet are angry. She there's never any point in the movie where she tried to take the mantle of Indiana Jones or anything like that. That was all um, that never happened. And honestly, based on what I've seen, it doesn't look like that was ever supposed to happen. Could be wrong, but the reason I did not like this character at all is because she was just a terrible person, a terrible, terrible person. And I get it. Her arc was supposed to follow the arc of Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones started out fortune and glory, you know, and then he went to preserving history. This belongs in a museum. Eventually, at the end of the Last Crusade, he was taking a leap of faith. All right, Indiana Jones had a very interesting character arc, and her character arc was supposed to mirror that of Indiana Jones. The problem here is that Indiana Jones had three very superior movies to explore this character arc, whereas she had one movie and it wasn't as good, it wasn't as well told as those other three. So for 2/3 of the movie, you hated her. Like she was not a good person, and she was annoying. um, she has Kathleen Kennedy's fingerprints all over it. I'm sorry, she does. Um, And then by the third act, when she was supposed to be redeeming herself, none of that redemption felt earned because it happened on the turn of a dime. It just happened too quickly, and none of it felt earned. It was like, well, we got to redeem her. We know she's a horrible person, but we got to redeem her at the end. Um, so hated her character completely and totally. The kid, he was annoying. I could have done without him also. Um, what else did I not like about this? That's honestly that's the big one. The Phoebe Waller-Bridge character. Yeah, it was a pretty good Indiana Jones movie. It was a good movie, a good Indiana Jones movie, and a good ending to the character. Notice I didn't say great because it wasn't great. The first three movies were great. This one was good. After Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, though, I'll take good. I'll take good. Um, For those who are wondering, there was some references to other movies for the keen eye, for the Indiana Jones fan. You would have picked up on a lot of them. If you aren't a keen Indiana Jones fan, with that keen eye, you might have missed some of the references. A lot of them were very subtle, but they were there. It was fan service done right, so I appreciate James Mangold doing that. But yeah, this was a good movie. Not great, but good. So, what do you think of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Let me know in the comments below.